Greetings, unsettled souls, and welcome to the Correct Views. Sam I.B. Gangi doing political commentary for the Media Speaks. Did you hear that? Political commentary. I got like hate on my comment line because somebody said that I thought I was an anchorman. I never said I thought I was an anchorman. I am a political commentator. If you think that I'm ugly, then listen to it. I don't care. You don't gotta watch. I get crazy stuff. People have asked me, why have you started wearing the hat? When I didn't wear the hat, people said that my hair went in all directions because I'm a very fidgety person and I tend to run my hands through my hair and it gets frizzy. So I wore the hat, and then people ask why I'm wearing the hat. I swear. Why am I starting the show this way? Because these are the comments I get. I address my comments first. So I'm 5'11". I weigh 200 pounds. I have long hair and tattoos. Who cares? I don't know the people in my comment line. For everybody else that tuned in for the hilariousness that is the Dunce Cap of the Month award, you, my friends, have it today. I didn't have a lot of Dumdy stories last month due to a problem when I was messing with the computer. I ended up losing a lot of my links. We have so many idiots, bam, 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 right in a row. The first few I can't even really spend a lot of time to, or the show's going to be 2 hours long. Well, here we go. School children arrested and criminally charged for inciting a riot for a food fight. Now, it looks like they were throwing food at each other as they were like calling each other out and getting ready to throw blows. But the point is, it didn't escalate to there. Listen to this. A number of students at San Antonio's McCollum High School, this is posted on InfoWars, were charged with inciting a riot for their involvement in a food fight that took place at the school this Thursday just after noon. It was a rowdy food fight. There were plates all over the floor and corn in the air and some milk cartons as well, student Adrian Toscano told KSAT TV, KSAT. For some reason, the staff at the school were not able to control the situation, and they ended up calling the police, who came in and arrested the students for inciting a riot. You know what? It all depends. If the article made it sound, and I'm not attacking InfoWars. I've always supported them, but at the same time, I'm not going to support somebody when I'm not sure they're right. And they don't want a parrot. Okay, so I'm sure they don't care that I disagree with this. It might have been that it was escalating to such a degree that they were throwing plates on the floor and throwing food. But just the same, I felt it worthy to at least start the show with it. Keep in mind, they get dumber as we go. The stories go off the deep end here. This is for Christelle, my girlfriend, who loves her cell phone more than me. Injured motorcyclist crashes while using phone, doesn't stop texting. The wonderful Christelle cannot walk her dog without playing on her phone. It's absolutely impossible. And I saw this, and I mean, everybody's tied to their phone a little bit. I use mine at work a lot because girls where I work are too lazy to walk up the stairs and ask for a request. They text it to me. So I have to kind of keep an eye on it. But even then, I think I'm tied to this damn phone. It says a rider from the Hunan province in southern China crashed his scooter earlier this week, supposedly while using his cell phone while on a motorcycle. As stupid as that sounds, it gets worse. Photos released from the People's Daily Online show that he continued to tinker with his phone as he lay injured on the roadway. As police arrived at the scene, he refused to give up, insisting that he stay on the street until an ambulance could pick him up, which wound up disrupting traffic. Ordinarily, that would be a good idea. This is true. If you have a severe injury, it's important to minimize your movement and wait for professional medical personnel to carefully move your body. That is absolutely true. Otherwise, you could exacerbate your injuries. Yes. You could also paralyze yourself. In this case, however, the man in question was released from the hospital with minor injuries. It sounds like he just couldn't be bothered to move while he was on his phone. The only question is, do stupid people love these gadgets, or do these gadgets love stupid people? I would say yes. Moving on. Both. Uh, moving on. DailyCaller.com. Two Baltimore City jail correction officers caught looting a 7-Eleven on video. Now, if you are a correction officer, Christelle, wouldn't you assume that you would know that places like, the 7-Eleven, which gets robbed a lot, might in fact have security cameras? Well, yeah, America does things backwards, but of course they're going to have security cameras because in order to do things backwards, they have to promise you that you have a Fourth Amendment when in reality you don't.
I mean the correction officers knowing that there was cameras there.
Oh, you mean that they were just a little slow in the head? And that's why they're on the Dunce Cap of the Month award show, the Daily Caller. Oh my God, we do. I just have to keep switching screens to get to them. This is almost too dumb to even comment on. Notice I said comment, not anchor. Two Baltimore City jail correction officers caught on video looting a 7-Eleven. Two correctional officers who work for the Baltimore City jail were suspended without pay Wednesday after video emerged showing them looting a 7-Eleven store during last month's riots. Tamika Cobb and Kendra Richard were charged with theft and 2 counts of burglary, according to a statement released by the Maryland Department of Public Safety and Correctional Services. Investigators with both the DPSCS and the Intelligence and Investigative Division responded to a tip that the pair had joined in the looting at a closed 7-Eleven's convenience store. The best way to honor Freddie Gray, who lost his life for no reason at all, is, of course, to destroy your own local neighborhood, especially when you're police. Welcome to the Dunce Cap. I know correctional officers, but you get the point. Friends, I got so many more stories to get to you, brought to you by Change Taxi. If you're within a 50-mile radius and you're going to call Uber or you're going to call a cab company, get your price. Call Change Taxi and ask Kenny to price match it. Tell him you heard about it on the Correct Views. Houston.cbs. I can talk today. Maybe I should get the Dunce Cap Award. Houston.cbslocal.com. Texas councilman forgets to turn off microphone while using the bathroom. Now, see, I don't feel really bad about this because I could see myself doing this, although with my luck, it would be a number 2. I don't feel bad calling him out because if and when the day comes that I do, in fact, do a number 2 on a live mic, I guarantee there will be a cacophony of voices making sure I know that I did it. So I don't feel bad doing it to him. There's like almost no apology you can give to this if it was him. I guess he was in a meeting and he had a mic on. And the mic, of course, was live. Only too live for this poor guy. It'll haunt him throughout the rest of his political career. Especially the way our country thinks. It was a scene straight out of The Naked Gun. Rachel Jonowe, Jonowe, Mayor Pro Tem of Georgetown, Texas, was speaking during a council meeting about deadly infectious diseases when everyone in the room could hear someone going to the bathroom. It turns out our councilman forgot to turn off his microphone. Shortly before Jowery begins speaking, the council member can be seen getting up and leaving the room. Jowery starts laughing when the councilman begins relieving himself and then totally loses it when he flushes. Of course, a fellow council member warned him of what he had done. They didn't put his name in this because obviously they're not mad at him. And it's good because if I had the name, you'd get it. I'm sure it's easy to look up. Have fun. That's what comment lines are for, not to question me about my hat. A Florida man faces 15 years in jail for having sex on the beach, but there are still no bankers in jail. Again, should you get in trouble for having sex on a beach? I'm glad that I didn't, not that I ever would. But when you're Christelle, my darling girlfriend, would never help do such a thing. But 15 years. All right, maybe you are the ultra conservative, most narrow-minded and or religious, which I do not interchange the two. Maybe it just really offends you. Okay, fine. Wouldn't it also offend you that we don't have any bankers in jail yet that brought down the crash of 2008 and might be the reason that anybody over the age of 60 has watched their entire savings depreciate to almost nothing? Now, do you still think they should get 15 years? It said the story demonstrates how completely and totally broken the U.S. justice system is. This is Michael Krieger, Liberty Blitzkrieg. A jury Monday found a couple guilty of having sex on a Bradenton beach after only 15 minutes of deliberation. The convictions carry a maximum prison sentence of 15 years. Both Caballero and Alvarez will now have to register as sex offenders. And the reason I'm so upset about this, as is Christelle, I'm sure, is you get these little cards in the mail that tell you who a sex offender is. And it's always a good idea to keep track of them because, at least right now in Ohio, they are the predators. It is not the 21-year-old that had sex with a 16-year-old that ended up getting called a sex offender. If you get one of those little cards in the mail where I'm at in Ohio, thankfully, it's somebody who is it's always something really bad. This is going to do to sex offense cards what DUI laws have done to drunk drivers. Nobody takes drunk driving seriously anymore because everybody gets a DUI when they're absolutely a threat to nobody whatsoever. This is going to take people convicted of any kind of sex thing at all, even if everyone's consenting age, as a sex offender. Then if you start getting cards in the mail that says that 31-year-old John was caught with 30-year-old Jane in the parking lot of a truck, you're going to start just throwing the cards away. And the real sex offenders that move in around you, you're not going to pay any attention to because now you're used to the cards being absolutely irrelevant. That's why I'm putting it on the Dumdy Show. I wouldn't want to be ambiguous. Ronald Kurpier's defense attorney for the couple said that his clients were devastated by the verdict. Though Def and Seca hinted that they'd be speaking with the judge about whether or not 15 years was appropriate for Caballero, Kurpier said the judge would have no discretion. That's what he'll get, Kurpier said. So you guys listening to this, if you do not contact this idiot-ass judge and complain about this, then I don't even know why I'm doing shows. I really wanted this to possibly get the Dunce Cap of the Month award. I was really pushing for it, and you'll see why. It says, this is what justice looks like in the oligarch states of America. If you're a pleb who gets caught having consensual sex on the beach, you're immediately convicted, and you face up to 15 years in the gulag. Meanwhile, if you're a banking executive responsible for crashing the global economy, you're rewarded with trillions in taxpayer bailouts and backstops and given free rein to continue your crime spree. Criminal charges are never considered, despite the extreme negative impact your actions have on a society at large, and you're always given a slap on the wrist via deferred persecution agreements or DPAs. And I remember DPAs were originally only around for juvenile delinquents. It said these agreements were created 100 years ago to give juvenile defendants and first-time offenders a chance to rehabilitate themselves. In other words, they were deferred as long as they didn't do anything else, and it was meant for kids. It was never, ever meant for adults. So, yeah, it says the jury Monday found them guilty. Jose Caballero, who was 40, and Elisa Alvarez, 20, consensual, over the age of 18, were charged with 2 counts each of lewd and lascivious behavior for having sex on a public beach, July 20th, 2014. The state will ask for jail time for Alvarez and prison time for Caballero, due to Caballero being out of prison for less than 3 years. So the guy gets out of prison, decides it'll be kinky to have some beach sex, and this is what they want to send him back to prison for. Is it not clear that they're just gouging you, the taxpayer, to pay to put this guy in prison when really he hasn't done anything the community service shouldn't hit him for? I mean, granted, Even if somebody saw it, this is not worth 15 years of your tax dollars. There is nobody alive that's socially conservative, unless, of course, you're a member of the Westboro Baptist Church. This is also InfoWars. Bill Nye, the science hack, the alarmist climate guy, says it's unpatriotic to question government-approved science. This is a slippery slope, and I will tell you why. If you happen to be somebody that believes in global warming, and after ClimateGate and after the things that have been taught to us by Lord Monckton, you don't get to be a lord by being an idiot, we know that man is not warming the planet. However, perhaps you are on that side of the argument, you believe that we are. Do you understand that being labeled unpatriotic is tantamount these days to being called a terrorist? You had people in Nazi Germany. It was considered unpatriotic to speak against the things that Germany was doing when they were eliminating the political parties, when they were arresting Jews, etc. Homos, gypsies, arresting everybody they didn't like. It was unpatriotic. It still is unpatriotic to question Kim Jong-un. You'll end up in a North Korean prison, and the next 3 generations of your family will be there too. If they ask what they did, they'll be killed. Now, am I saying that this is the same thing? No, but I'm saying that this is how things like this get started. Bill Nye, the so-called science guy, has penned a piece for the leftist website Vox, in which he actually suggests that the UN's Constitution says that anyone who disagrees with government or scientific matters is unpatriotic. Listen what an idiot this guy is. Nye, who is firmly entrenched in the climate alarmist camp, breaks out the word denier as per usual and attempts to argue that those who question global warming are defying the core principles of the US. When you have people denying the basic process, and now what we've got here, it's offensive to me intellectually. And I happen to think it's unpatriotic, Nye declares. Unfortunately for Nye, people's rights do not end where other people's feelings begins. He goes on to suggest that Article 1, Section 8 of the Constitution says the government shall promote the progress of science and useful arts. So if you are a politician looking to derail the progress of science, I think you're doing a good job. However, that's not what that means. As many people on Twitter pointed out, and anybody who's ever read the Constitution using the thinking part of their brain would know, it's another case of an establishment figure twisting the meaning of the Constitution to fit their own agenda. What it actually says is to promote the progress of science and useful arts by securing for limited times to authors and inventors the exclusive right to their respective writings and discoveries. The section, it says, is addressing patenting and individual property rights of inventions, ideas, and writings. It is most certainly not asserting that anyone who disagrees with government-sanctioned science is unpatriotic. So not only is he wrong about global warming, but he's wrong about the quote he used. It reminds me of the serial killer. I forget his name, the guy that owned the hotel. He started, I know it starts with an H. He would burn people alive, or burn their body, I should say, sometimes alive, in acid, because he believed that the body of evidence meant that if you didn't have a body, you couldn't prove a murder. So he admitted that he did it, but said that he couldn't be arrested because there was no body of evidence. That's not what body of evidence means. That is not what science means in the way that it's written in the Constitution. So he's not just wrong once, he's wrong twice. Mikhail Thalen, Prison Planet. Mikhail always gives great dumdies. VA refuses to help injured vet 10 feet from the hospital entrance. Now, this was my pick for Dunce Cap of the Month. I was really pulling for the other one, and then I saw this, and I was sold on it. But Christelle insists the one that does win is, in fact, the dumbest. Although, Christelle, when you hear all of this, you may, in fact, change your mind. A U.S. military veteran was denied help by a Veterans Administration hospital in Seattle despite being only 10 feet from their emergency room entrance. According to the Seattle Times, the incident began when 64-year-old Army veteran Donald Siefkin stepped down and hurt a snap on his foot on February the 27th while taking his wife across Washington State to Seattle's International Airport. As his foot began painfully swelling to the size of a football, it says Siefkin, being 230 miles from home, rushed to the nearest veterans hospital after dropping off his wife. At 3:30 a.m., Siefkin pulled into the emergency room entrance to Seattle's Veterans Hospital and, unable to walk, called the front desk for assistance. So they rushed out to help him, right? No. Instead of immediately sending help, Siefkin says the employee began asking why he was attempting to visit a hospital so far from home. After a brief argument, the employee refused to provide help and demanded Siefkin call 911 before abruptly hanging up the phone. In the audio of the 911 call, which was made at 3:40 a.m., Siefkin can be heard attempting to elicit help from emergency services. They won't come out here and get me. Do you believe that? He says. They told me to call 911 and then promptly hung up on me. After a short wait, Siefkin was met by first responders and wheeled into the emergency room where hospital workers refused to let him stay the night after placing a boot on his foot and prescribing painkillers. Is this a concentration camp or a hospital? Unwilling to drive under the influence, they wanted him to drive on the painkillers. Do you understand that? They put him on painkillers and told him that he had to drive. He could not stay. Siefkin was forced to take the 4-hour drive back home, where he was finally able to take his pain medication again before falling asleep. It gets worse. It says, I know it sounds counterintuitive because someone is just 10 feet away, but that is our policy. So they stuck up for the policy at the Seattle VA, who I still say should have won the Dunce Cap of the Month award. We do have a couple more to let you know who did win. Feminists not following enough women on Twitter is passive sexism. You got this crazy feminazi who is reading the Twitter feeds of the person beside her like some kind of spooky sleuth out of a CIA spy film, and then goes on to criticize the person as being sexist for not following enough women on Twitter. Like it's any of her damn business to begin with. Prominent feminist, and might I add, absolutely repulsive person, Jessica Valenti, claims that men who don't follow enough women on Twitter are engaging in a form of passive sexism. The guy next to me on the subway was checking Twitter, she wrote. He followed almost all the same people I did, but no women. Passive sexism is for real. The Guardian columnist, I meant communist, that's what I almost said, tweeted her disgust after she admitted to spying on a male commuter, commenting, the guy next to me, I just read it to you. No, this is not satire account intended for satirizing the batshit crazy Western third wave feminists. These are actual tweets, it says, sent out by an influential feminist who has somehow 100,000 brain dead followers. It's like when you meet someone whose favorite authors, musicians, etc. are randomly male, all male. That's rather suspect. Well, here's my question. If you follow In This Moment, the singer and most popular member of In This Moment is in fact Maria, the singer, yes. But if you follow them, Christelle, then the other members of the band are male. So does that count as following female or not? Or if you follow a porn star, she is female, but of course she lets men objectify her body. So does she count as a woman, or does she count as a form of sexism? These are questions I would like to ask this crazy wench. Valenti also asserts that if your favorite authors and musicians are mostly men, then you are suspect. Valenti's ridiculous assertion that not following enough women on Twitter and liking music than books written by men is a stealthy form of patriarchal oppression is yet another example of why third wave feminism is a complete joke and serves to discredit concern for genuine women's rights issues, such as them being beheaded and raped at the age of 9 by ISIS. Valenti's creepy obsession with casually violating people's privacy and shaming them on Twitter for the thought crime of not following who she thinks they should follow also illustrates how radical feminists have positioned themselves as authoritarian intellectual gatekeepers who are intent on controlling free expression. So there you go, guys. I don't know how to break that down to you. I don't know how you know when you followed enough women, but you are a passive sexist. Get used to it. Standard.co.uk as we zero in here on the dumbest story of the month. Watch the moment the self-driving car plows into two men as the auto brake feature fails. That is a very poor headline, and it would not have made the Dunce Cap of the Month award show if that in fact was the case. No, the auto brake feature didn't fail. The self-driving car didn't have an auto brake feature. He stood in front of the car to test a feature that it didn't have, and then standard.co.uk reports the story wrong. How many dummies can you possibly get in just one story? It's even mentioned in their article. This is the moment an accelerating car rams into two men who were apparently expecting an auto braking system to kick in. By next month, you should be seeing it, by the way. We got the graphics coming up back here. We're waiting for the part to arrive. Thank you, Angela. You can donate like she does at thecorrectviews@hotmail.com. The Volvo XC60 accelerates straight into the men who have no time to jump out of its way. The shocking video has been viewed more than 2.3 million times since being uploaded on YouTube by local blog Ramaloka. The men, who were lucky to escape with only bruising, were reportedly taking part in a demonstration of the car's pedestrian detection safety system at the Dominican Republic. However, Swedish car giant Volvo claims the men were unwittingly facing a vehicle without the feature, which is only installed as part of the add-on package, costing 1,900 euros in the UK. The Volvo spokesman added that the auto brake feature would have overridden anyway by the driver's acceleration. So the driver was accelerating anyway. The guy actually ran him over. Now you've got three dummies in just one story. Absolutely mind-blowing stupidity. The last two stories, before we get into the dumbest stories you've ever heard in your life. Man fired after refusing to remove Marine shirt on Memorial Day. An employee at Little Caesars Pizza in Tennessee, remember Little Caesars, these little bastards, says his manager fired him after he wore a special t-shirt commemorating Americans' veterans on Memorial Day. Joey Schell, S-C-H-E-L-L, an 18-year-old who aspires to be a Marine one day, says he was written up and told to leave the store after he wore a shirt emblazoned with the words U.S. States Marine on Monday. Once management learned of the situation, he was told he would be terminated if he left the building. I decided to wear the U.S. Marine shirt to work because usually on holidays we're allowed to dress up, he said. In one of the holidays I'm most passionate about, and I've been planning on joining the Marines. And you got to remember, it says they had a manager who dressed up as a deer one year for Halloween, like a doe. She had antlers, face paint. Yeah, so you can do that. You can dress up on St. Patrick's Day. They kept changing their green hats. But if you actually support Memorial Day, you're a terrorist. The runner-up, I had to give this the runner-up because the other ones, I didn't want to make you wait for the really, really stupid ones. And this one is as sad as it is stupid. And since the winner does involve ordinances, we're going to go with this here. Memorial Day diss, the 21 gun salute scrubbed because it violates a local ordinance. An ordinance from 1983 forbids any person or to use, fire, or discharge any gun or other firearm within the borough. A Pennsylvania town, of course, is a Pennsylvania town that actually won the Dunce Cap of the Month award, no less. It's coming up. A Pennsylvania town, they're on a roll, has scrubbed a planned Memorial Day 21 gun salute honoring its Civil War heroes because of elders' blind adherence to a local ordinance. We need to stand up as a nation and shout from the rooftops that ordinances will not trump our constitutional rights. The 83 Stroudsburg, Pennsylvania ordinance forbids, of course, as I just read, any person to use, fire, or discharge any gun or firearm within the borough. And idiot council member Boyd Weiss said the 21 gun salute is a practice that is taken. Oh, no, I'm sorry. He's not the one to blame. Excuse me. Boyd Weiss, sorry, Boyd, said the 21 gun salute is a practice that has taken place in the borough for most of his life. He said he understands why the ordinance is in place, but he thought an exception could be made because the salute was customary. In other words, this is why you don't make ordinances that trump the dunce cap, that trumps the constitutional rights, or you will, in fact, get a Dunce Cap of the Month award, just like is coming at you here. This is brought to you by StickerJunkie.com. Yes, it is. It's brought to you by the people that make the coolest stickers you've ever seen. How's that as a way to look at it, friends? StickerJunkie.com. Let them know you heard about it from the correct views. That's right. The Dunce Cap of the Month award. It's almost too dumb to even say. Pennsylvania teen ordered to tear down the treehouse after a neighbor complains. FoxNews.com. Now, calling this a treehouse is like calling the Taj Mahal a building. This is one of the most well put together, innovative uses of wood that I have ever seen in any one structure. So the Dunce Cap of the Month award is going to the building inspection underwriters of Pennsylvania. An ambitious Pennsylvania teen. Oh, now I got this on autoplay. An ambitious Pennsylvania teen who built a deluxe 2-story treehouse in her front yard has been ordered to tear it down after a neighbor complained. Well, it's not your damn property. Whatever happened to property rights in this country? Whatever happened to common sense? Tell her to get on her own damn property or move, bitch. Elisa Chunchin, 14, built the elevated fort in the front yard of her family's home in Leet Township in February as part of a project for her 8th grade class. The structure prompted a complaint, which was filed with the Township Council, and the family was ordered to take down the treehouse on October 1st. The council, in issuing the ban, cited local ordinances that ban structures from being built in front yards. Now, again, how does an ordinance trump the fact that you can do whatever you damn well please on your own property? That's why I'm very happy. Shout out to Betty Condello, where I rent from. I forget which is which. I do believe she is the Republican and he is the Democrat, the people that own the property that I rent at. Well, I'm a libertarian. And when I wanted to put libertarian signs in the front yard, they both said, you're the one that rents it. That, my friends, is how America works. It says, at first I thought it was a joke, but then I found out that it wasn't, Trunchin said, according to local reports. So then I got really sad. Trunchin finished the bi-level structure in February for a grade in one of her classes at Quaker Valley Middle School. The tiny house is made from untreated wood and has a clear roof for stargazing. And you should look it up. It's on Fox News. I showed Christelle the video. It's actually structurally sound. This is built the way that you would hire somebody to build something, except, they didn't treat the wood. It has sliding windows, a rope ladder, and lock. The walls are adorned with Harry Potter themed decorations. Well, she should have known right there. You're not allowed to read books in America today. It says, I was shocked because Elise put so much work into it. Elise's father, Jonathan Trunchin, said on Fox and Friends on Monday. After 2 months of building in the snow, she worked so hard. We were brokenhearted for her. Now, I learned, actually, Christelle and I learned how to do more than fall down a hill on a snowboard this year. We actually learned how to snowboard properly. Negative 12 is how cold, Christelle?
Absolutely freezing.
We were we were snowboarding in it as she finishes coloring the hat. Here, her marker's trying to run out of ink. Color, Christelle, color. Um, the the worst part of this being it's freezing. Okay, I was out in this all winter. Christelle was out in it all winter. I mean, we busted our ass to learn how to snowboard. Literally. Usually it's figurative, literally. And when you're busting it in negative 12 degrees or negative with wind chill, you're freezing. This girl was building a tree house in this. On March 25th, Elise family received a notice from the inspector of the now winner of the Dunce Cap of the Month award, Building Inspection Underwriters of Pennsylvania, saying that tree houses are considered accessory structures, which are not allowed in front yards. It's none of their damn business what's in the front yard. What the hell has happened to America? Truchin and her family built the tree in the front yard because they do not have space behind their home. The notice said that it needed to be dismantled in 15 days. Now, I'm using some inheritance money to buy 2 properties that don't have a backyard. So if somebody wanted to do this, they would have to do it in the front yard. And you know what? As long as they took it down when they moved, I would let them do so. And sign something that says you're not going to sue me if you fall out of it. The treehouse is in violation of Zoning Ordinance 168, read the citation. Additionally, a building permit would be required for the treehouse. Please remove the treehouse within 15 days to avoid citations. I wouldn't have taken it down, and I wouldn't have paid their freaking citation. Trujin's parents said they had no idea that the little building was a violation. We did a lot of research. They even looked it up. And everything we read, especially in the building codes of the website of the owners of the township, nothing was said about a child's playhouse, Jonathan said on Fox and Friends. No, nothing for a treehouse. There was no zoning issues and no building permits. So after reading those, she proceeded. So basically, they changed the rules on her after she looked the rules up. That's what you get for following the rules. They just changed the rules on you. The family was able to negotiate an extension and is able to keep the treehouse up until October 1st. How very kind of them. Elise, who received a passing grade for her project, says she's already thinking of new. Looking up my nose as I move this back towards myself. Yay, I'm as pretty as ever. The Dunce Cap of the Month award. This Dunce Cap of the Month award goes without question to Building Inspection Underwriters of Pennsylvania for making a creative teenager tear down her well-built treehouse due to an ordinance that violates her basic constitutional rights. Perhaps the teen would be better off spending time on the streets, robbing people at gunpoint, I wrote, or simply playing video games while listening to mind-rotting Beyonce songs like the rest of teenage America. For even having an ordinance that trumps the basic rights afforded by the law of the land, you at Building Inspection Underwriters of Pennsylvania win the Dunce Cap of the Month award. In a world of dumb, you stand out, I wrote. Let me show you the Dunce Cap real quick. I'm going to go ahead and I've got. There you go, friends. Look at that Dunce Cap. Oh, it looks great. She's got a finished coloring end of the tree. It looks awesome otherwise. Look at this. Oh, yeah, friends. It says 1. Look at that immaculate treehouse. Look at that immaculate treehouse. Low def. Let me make sure you can see it. Look at that immaculate tree. It looks great, by the way. She's going to color a corner. I think it looks great. Or 2. It says, well, it's America, so you have to take 2. Meant that the way it came out. Number 2. Hope they're reading between the lines. If not, they're going to get the Dunce Cap. It says, you should watch TV, play video games, be on social media, stay inside, not build, and not be creative. Now that, my friends, is the current state of America today. Again, she didn't finish coloring it all the way. Why? Because she took the time to make it look really nice, and I didn't want to go on so late that you guys couldn't watch it. So thank you, friends. If you want to see the finished product, we'll go ahead. I'll tell you what, we'll post it online. Look up Kaylin. That is Christelle's actually her middle name. There you go. Free and knowledge on the show. You can look up Kaylin. That's where Facebook has the YouTube right now. Videos going up all the time on Facebook, Kaylin. You can also look it up on Tumblr, although nobody's on Tumblr, I think, but me, but you can find it there. Friends, thank you for listening. Good night. God bless, and share this video because the more you share, the more we grow.